The title of my talk is What is the Use of an American Scholar in the Japanese Academy? Reflections on 4 Stages in an Evolving Research Career. ちょっと刺激的なタイトルですね。Why are you here? みたいな感じ。はい。Now, so I submitted my title to Watanabe Sensei, and then they made a nice flyer. And it's very interesting. I did not choose the picture, but there's a picture there like this. Maybe they imagine my life is very 大変。大変か、深く考えてるか、どっちだろう。Right? So it's also my situation at Kyoto University. I have some goals and I have some worries. But today, my goals for this session, and also let me tell you about my goals first, and then I'll tell you about my worries for this session. So my goal is really to give you an overview of my research, kind of constellation, all the stars in the sky of Kyoikugaku. And there's Jeremy Sensei, なんとなくその辺です。Okay? And then maybe you're more interested in this kind of kokusaika, internationalization, and super global university. We always hear it in the Kyojukai, but do we know what's going on, right? What's going on, right? So this is a good opportunity to talk about that. And then I think maybe for this collaboration kai there's a new axis jiku for collaboration. So I read about this kai, and I think it's very, very interesting, talking about trying to bridge macro and micro, and psychology, clinical studies, philosophy. But one thing that's missing maybe is domestic and foreign, kokunai to kokusai. So maybe it's the first step for that internationalization of that. And then another goal, a personal goal, is to find some sources, maybe for my project that you all know about, that you can say, oh, you should read this, Jeremy Sensei, or we should talk about this. Then it's very useful for me to build my own ideas. So. Then my worries for this session. So my biggest worry is, 言語。英語で大丈夫かな? My Japanese is good for passive. Input, no problem. Reading and listening is no problem. But output as Japanese is not so beautiful. I can order drinks at izakaya, I can get on the densha, I can do all of this, but it's a bit difficult in this situation for my Japanese. So, ディスカッションの時とか質問の時、日本語全然構いませんので、あと、if you don't understand, just please ask. Okay, and then I'm only going to talk about, because we have short time, just a main thread of my research. I have many pieces of my research, and in my mind they connect, but maybe not so clear to other people. So, for example, I'm not going to talk about the translation work that I do. So I've translated 2 books by a quite famous sociologist of education, Kariya Takahiko Sensei at Tokyo University, 2 of his books. And I'm not really going to talk about that very much. And the other thing that I'm not going to talk about is, unfortunately, is this jisen, or genba. I'm not going to focus on that angle. I have research that I'm working on now that addresses that angle, such as PISA and pedagogy models. And for example, USA now is borrowing Japanese lesson study. Jugyo Kenkyu, they're borrowing it. So there's many things I'm interested in, but I'm not going to talk about that. I'm more going to talk about philosophy and kind of the placement of my research. And then I'm also worried with any interdisciplinary interaction like this. Maybe it's not specialized enough for you. Maybe it sounds too abstract or not so clear. Or maybe it's too specialized. It's so hard to judge when you speak to an audience, interdisciplinary audience. So I hope it's not too specialized or too. And then when I describe my research in the second part of my talk, I'm going to talk more about theory and concepts and less about my methods or my data. You can just read the papers if you're interested, but I just want to give you a broad outline of my research. And then now I'm a bit worried that I'm too informal. Watanabe sensei told me, oh, it's like just talk about your research, very informal, but this is the Kyojukai room, so I feel, pressure. So, okay. And then the other thing is that I think I'm worried that maybe our starting point about how we think about our scholarship is very different. So please feel free to critique me. I have no problem. The whole point of my talk is to say, let's have the dialogue. So I'm a bit worried, but I hope you can follow along. Okay, so what will I talk about? This is the basic plan that I'd like to talk about, is talk in 3 parts. One is a kind of jiko shokai. Of course, I'd hope you know me, but it also relates to how my research has progressed over my 10-year career so far. And during that, I'd also like to talk about super global university. So it's like my trajectory and super global, and then Jeremy Sensei is in Kyoto University. Okay, so I'll talk about the confluence of those two. And then I'll switch to discuss my research, 4 stages of it. And these stages, I'll spend just about 5 minutes talking about what I think are different stages in my research. And I'll introduce them concretely with actual studies that I've done that are in the packet. So you can see exactly what type of research I do. And I would say these 4 stages are defined like this. One is I was very interested in cross-national attraction, or the politics of education. Stage 2 was policy borrowing, or processes of policy making in an era of globalization. Then the third step, stage 3, was very much a dialogue around common themes. And the 4th step is Japan as an epistemic or ontological base. I'll explain that. And then I'd like to, in the third part of my talk about kind of a synthesis, talking about, put this together in terms of a trajectory of research, a trajectory of my own life in scholarship, and also talk just briefly about my teaching. And then I want to, in conclusion, directly answer the question. So, what is the use of an American in the Japanese Academy? Now, I had 2 ideas that I could either speak for a full hour and then we discuss, or we break it into 3 parts and discuss. But I think after Sodan, we decided full hour straight. Okay, so I hope it's okay for you.